Victoria, the meeting is recording now.
Okay, very good. Good evening, everybody. This is a special meeting of the Southington Town Council. It's for Wednesday, July 22nd, with one agenda item that we're going to talk about. But before we open, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Michael Del Santo,
Present.
Valerie DiPaolo. Here. William Diedzik,
Here.
Tom Lombardi,
Here.
James Morelli. Jim here.
I haven't seen him yet.
Okay. Christopher Palmieri,
Here.
Christopher Poulos,
Here.
Paul Chaplinsky,
Here.
Victoria Triano.
Here, thank you. Jim said that he would be on, so I'm expecting him to come in at any moment now. But we will begin. Right now, I think all of us have heard. If you have not, I don't know if Madam Clerk has heard yet, but we lost Matt Florian this afternoon. And so I just would like to have a moment of silence in honor of Matt, a friend and someone who has given his life to Southington. So let's have a moment of silence. Okay, thank you, everybody. So our second item on the agenda, of course, is the discussion regarding the proposal bill at the LCO of 3471. It is the Act of Police Accountability, Act concerning police accountability. And
Madam Chair, just for the record, Jim is on now.
oh, good. Okay, so we have a full house. Yeah, good. Most of us have sent out the bill and wanted to open up a discussion for the purposes of standing with our local police department if we feel we need to do that, and really voicing an objection for the quick movement of this bill. And so I just want to open it up. I know, it's a bill that has a lot of different things that are questionable for me anyway, but I do want to hear from everybody else first, and then we can talk. So please, would somebody like to begin the discussion? Anybody?
Madam Chair, this is Mike Del Santo. I just surprised to see this bill even come up, but I did put some stuff down on paper because it was just too much to remember. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm just going to read what I've collected over the past 2 or 3 days.
Sure.
Okay, so this draft does more harm than good. It is clear not a lot of thought, evidence, or educated opinions went into its preparation. Instead of correcting a few, you are expelling many good, honest, hardworking police officers from their jobs or forcing them into early retirement because of perceived lack of trust. There are many young women who have always dreamt and are dreaming to become police officers or go into law enforcement may decide to change their minds. With these ridiculous new guidelines, you will get, at best, fewer applicants, and at worst, less qualified or quality applicants as potential police officers. Officers who stay will be less inclined to be proactive, especially if they believe their administration would not support them if there were an unsubstantiated claim of wrongdoing on their part. There's already a wave of anti-police sentiment in this country. If this legislation passes, this would exacerbate this force, and this kind of thinking puts the police in danger. A police officer needs to oftentimes make split-second decisions. Please don't further complicate the decision-making process and authority of Southington and state police officers, and all police officers throughout the land. I find it ironic the name of this draft bill is called an Act Concerning Police Accountability. Maybe the concern in Hartford and communities across this great nation needs to shift to criminal accountability. If you look up the definition of the word accountability, it reads, the fact or condition of being accountable and having responsibility. It makes me sick that Democratic legislation in Hartford will try to vilify the state police personnel and give the perception that they are the problem, instead of ensuring and reminding the public to take some accountability and limit the crimes they engage in. I've been a resident in Southington for 48 years. I was raised to respect authority, especially the police. If there was ever a time when I was engaged with them, it was usually done with respect and admiration. None of us are perfect, and I did find myself in a situation while I was in high school when I was disrespectful to a police officer. Being a minor, the local officer didn't arrest me. He did worse. He called my father. Let's just say that was the end of my summer for a while. This is what's missing today. Parents are not holding their children accountable. They're not ensuring that they are taking responsibilities and respecting authority. But more importantly, taking accountability for their actions so when they venture out into the real world, their lack of respect or accountability towards the police is now apparent. This has grown increasingly worse in the last 3 or 4 years. I'm seeing videos of police officers being assaulted, buckets of water thrown on them while they were trying to do their job, being mocked and made fun of and verbally abused. All leaders of all types, mayors, governors, legislators, sit back and allow it to happen and not ask for their constituents to follow the law and be accountable for their actions. Well, enough is enough. Stop making excuses for your constituents' illegal behavior by throwing together a draft bill to limit the authority of the police. And more importantly, stop castigating the people that ensure we rise and sleep under the blanket of the very freedom this town and state's men and women in blue provide. I stand with the police. Be leaders and lead. Do not kowtow to mob mentality. That's my prepared statement. So thank you for the time, Madam Chair.
If I don't know, Linda, were you able to get all of that? Because if you have a prepared statement, Michael, it should be included in the minutes. Okay. Maybe,
Madam Chair.
Yeah, you can give it to Kathy tomorrow or whenever. Who else would like to speak on this, please? Yes, I see Paul's hand. Anybody else? Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a prepared statement. I'll try to be brief about it. I agree a lot of what Councilman Del Santo said, and so thank you for taking the time to put those words together. You know, I have 4 specific areas of concern, and you know, having now have the chance to read a couple of the letters that came in, it seems that our police committee, headed up by the commissioner, Chairman James Verderam, had sent us a note, which I think is part of the record, with their concerns. I share a lot of the concerns that they have. You know, the 4 main things for me: qualified immunity and reducing qualified immunity is part and parcel to, you know, the job. And you know, I think that there's a misconception about qualified immunity out in the public domain. I think people believe that reducing qualified immunity means that they're reducing the ability for a police officer to be held accountable for criminal actions. And the reduction of qualified immunity is about civil lawsuits. And, you know, I could never see myself being a police officer without having some sort of protection from frivolous lawsuits day in and day out for doing my job, and having a mechanism to have a fair review, you know, that's quick, that's swift, but that also leaves me of, you know, of that civil lawsuit, should I have done my job to the best of my ability and within the guidelines of my job. And so for me, you know, that's going to have a dramatic effect on our own police force here in Southington. And I know, you know, there may be people who say that this is a state issue. This is a state Democrat-led issue that is going to affect every single community in our state, including Southington. And, you know, we've all sat here and said, while we've been at meetings, we've all sat here and praised the police. We've all said during public communications, what a great job officer such and such did. Proud of the way that the Southington police handled themselves in this situation and that situation. And then we're faced with this at the state level. And, you know, I think that we have to fight back. The communities need to fight back against this Democrat-led bill. We don't even know what's in the bill. We only know the framework of what they're planning to put in the bill, and then unveil this bill sometime late today or tomorrow when they're going to talk about it and then possibly vote on it. And so, you know, we can't sit back and just wait for them to unveil the bill and then make a decision to be vocal. We need to be vocal now. We need to see that there is an outline in front of us, and we need to stand up and stand against this outline and some of the areas that are of great concern. There are good points. The social workers responding in the place of police officers, and on a call that a police officer is called to duty on, you never know what's going to happen in a situation. You never know what kind of violence is going to occur. And to replace a police officer with a social worker, I have concern about. I have concern for safety of the people involved, including the social worker. Consensual searches. If there is a police officer who asks and somebody consents, if you have nothing to hide and you consent to, why remove that clause? I do think that we have to look at this. We have to take some more time. I understand that there are concerns out there, but to rush something through like this without having the input that's required to really debate this, to really do something that is positive and not detrimental to our communities, to the safety of our communities, to the budgets that we have that would have a significant detrimental effect on, as well as the financial impact to the officers who will have to other measures to protect themselves for insurance and so forth. So I stand against this bill as written. I stand ready to listen, hear ideas for changes in the future. But the way it's written today, in good conscience, I can't stand here as a council person of Southington and say that this bill is not going to have a detrimental effect on our police force and our community. And the support letters that we received from the police commissioner and others are a testament to that.
Thank you, Paul. Chris Palmera, you had said you wanted to speak. Go ahead, Chris.
I didn't, but I was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I saw your hand. I'm sorry.
No. Oh, maybe it's Chris Poulos.
Oh, all right. But you have the floor now. Did you want to say something, Chris Palmera?
That's okay. Go ahead. Chris had his hand up.
Chris Poulos, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the first things I did when I was made aware of this meeting and the resolution was to call up Chief Daly. And I asked him to share his thoughts on the draft bill, the good, the bad, the ugly. And he said to me that there are a lot of good things being proposed. For example, the psychological reporting every 5 years. However, at the same time, he expressed a concern that no one has stated what will happen to someone if they don't meet the test standards. Do they get fired? Do they have to seek treatment? Can they go back to their previous posts? Do they get a desk job? And the fact is, there really is no guidance in the plan. There's no plan. The chief was also concerned that active on-the-ground police professionals weren't consulted in the drafting of the legislation. And quite honestly, from my experience, the last thing we want to do is in our state, in our town, is create an implementation gap. That's what happens when you have good-intentioned policymakers. I think people are trying to do good in our state, but they may not understand the implications of the decisions that they're proposing when they're implemented on the ground. It's what happened in public education when they passed No Child Left Behind. No educators were involved in the law, and the law was a disaster. It hurt the entire profession, teachers and students and communities. And so I support the resolution as written. I think the legislature has to seek out more input from public municipalities, and most importantly, the local police departments who do the job every day. So they could talk about what these policy ideas will look like when implemented, and before the law is passed, we can make sure we get it right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chris, very much. Is there someone else who would like to speak?
Madam Chair, this is Tom.
Yes, Tom.
Thank you. First, I would just like to apologize for my lack of professional attire. I'm actually on vacation this week, so I'm not at my normal area for these meetings, but I'm glad that we were able to pull this together, and Councilman Del Santo, Chaplinsky, and Poulos, I think they all made fantastic points. So I'll be brief. I certainly agree with what was said. And I also want to thank the police commission for stepping up and writing the letter, because as Councilman Poulos said, there are some good that could come out of this. There are some areas for improvement that the police departments could do. But, just to make a blanket bill that's going to be very detrimental, I think is not in the best interest of the police officers or the communities. One thing that I did want to point out, specifically in the bill, section 10 and 11, and I hope that this could get back to the state legislators. You know, it talks about reporting on recruiting minority police officers. I actually think that's one of the bright sides of the bill. But if we're going to start doing that, increasing the minority reporting and things like that, why not add a stipulation for veterans too? Why not add veterans and minorities as one of the guidelines for the recruitment? So that was just one specific thing that pointed out at me. So again, thank you to the Police Commission, and thank you, Madam Chair, for setting up this meeting tonight and showing our support for the Southington Police Force.
Very good. Thank you so much, Tom. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? I'm waiting. Okay, now Chris Palmieri.
Yes. So first of all, I thank you for the opportunity to speak. I will be standing with the Southington Police Department as well. I had the opportunity. I reached out to Chief Daly. I spoke to him as well, and share some concerns. I also met with Sergeant Salerno, the president of the police union. So he and I sat down and went over some of the points. The biggest thing I'd like to urge is that the creation of a task force is probably would be very beneficial to our police department. And Chris talked about it a little bit, in getting input from the police department rather than trying to put together this bill. My concern, again, with this, and I want to be clear again, I will be supporting the police department, but once again, I feel that this is an issue that, yes, it impacts Southington, but it's more of an issue for our elected state representatives to be. So, you know, we've had our state representatives at council meetings in the past, you know, but they were elected actually to be Southington's voice for issues such as this. I did reach out. I spoke to Liz Lenahan about this, you know, and she emphasized too, again, this is not a final bill. So we're actually taking action on something that's not a final bill. However, I understand that the financial impact, as well as honestly the emotional impact it could have even on our police department. So some of the concerns with this, certainly the qualified immunity, the mention of the decertification of officers, and even talk of the use of force. Those were kind of the bigger things. Unfortunately, there's unfunded mandates in here as well, such as about if funding is available, which, you know, if funding isn't available from the state, it's still a responsibility to provide that, but on the municipality. Right. So fortunately, we're in a good place with our police officers having the cameras, but you know, it just concerns me again that we're premature in some of this, and I understand why. I understand the vote is Thursday and everything, but you know, I wish there was more contact directly with our state legislators so that they ultimately do have a vote up in Hartford when it comes to this. So that's my concern.
Thank you, Chris, very much. Anybody else? Yes, Jim Morelli.
Madam Chair, thank you. I don't want to rehash what everybody else said because I'm in agreement with pretty much everyone. I did want to say that I think the bill is overreaching and it's too encompassing, and I think it's just too generic. I don't agree with social workers taking the place of police at all. And I'd like to make a comment because I think this is the thing that Chris was saying, which I kind of disagree with, and that is that I think as a council, as a town council, that we're incumbent to make our voice known all the way to Hartford. And I think that the fact that this thing got launched and got pushed and is not detailed and defined, we need to send the message to Hartford that not even on a partisan level, but this is wrong. So again, I support the fact that we don't want to support this bill, and for all the reasons that were stated. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Is there anybody else?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Val.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
So I would like to say that I do support and agree with a lot of what everybody has said. And I did some research too. I did speak with James Verderam, chair of the police commissioners. We did talk about the qualified immunity and the impact on professional liability insurance and what kind of an impact that would have on our town if we have to cover those costs. And so I wanted to thank the commission for sending a very well drafted letter to us and really helping us out. My concern is really with the time frame, and I agree with a lot of what everybody has already said about that. I really think the bill does have some very good provisions in it. It just needs to really be vetted out a little bit more. They need to be looking at maybe listening to some more testimony from law enforcement professionals and from the public. And, to talk about our state reps and our state senators, it would be nice if we could get them involved at the council level. I agree with Councilperson Morelli when he says that, we do have an obligation to know what's going on in Hartford. I think we just maybe have to call on our state reps and our state senators maybe a little bit more. So I just throw that out for consideration. I support our police department 100%, and I support the resolution.
Thank you so much. I see, Paul, your hand's up.
Yeah, I don't. Just one thing. You guys really resonated, and I'm hoping that that those in the legislature who are making some of these decisions and pushing some of these agendas hear some of these type of things from communities like ours, from the words that you all just said. Part of the reason that we're here today, or the primary reason we're here today, is because the leadership in our state is, they're not taking a collaborative approach. They are, it's politics one all the time, hiding these type of things until the last minute, so sides can't talk and come to an area that is mutually beneficial for everybody, addresses concerns but doesn't have detrimental effects. There's a lot of good things to make improvements on, but to not talk and to not give the appropriate time is the reason that we're here. And we're all in our work clothes and our vacation clothes, and we're trying to put something like this together is because we don't have the time. They're not affording the time to the other side. They're not affording the time to the people. The leadership that's pushing these bills does not allow those who are going to vote on it the time to actually digest it, come back with meaningful feedback, like you guys said, put task force together. And I'm hopeful that they hear more of this type of thing from communities and learn that just because you are the leadership party doesn't mean that you ran these things through. These things need to be done thoughtfully, and I'm hopeful that this can be done in a better way in the future at the state level, and that's the reason why we're here today.
I think we all feel under the gun because we do know they're going to start to vote, they say, tomorrow. And that was the reason to call a special meeting. And I thank you all for coming because we hold the responsibility of our community, of those that we serve. And so I thank you all. I didn't say that at the beginning, but I do absolutely thank you. Attorney Taylor has drafted a resolution. I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, if I could, I
Sure.
want to, I guess I'm a little upset with the repeated politicizing of this because I'm trying not to do that, but to hear multiple references to the leadership party and the Democrats and this and that. And again, I'm trying to keep this about the issue in Southington because I have in the past even here asked for more communication and more collaboration here. So to hear that, I just want to voice my objection to that. But Also, again, in Southington, I believe we have a absolutely phenomenal police force. I also think that maybe in some other towns in our state, there may need to be some work done. I don't know. I don't reside in those towns. The legislature is trying to take positive steps to work towards equality, equity, and some of the stances that we as a council stood up against. That's the spirit and the intent of this. Granted, I understand, I think it's a little far reaching, which is why I voiced some of my concerns and objections. But to blanketly make statements like that, I find it disheartening. That's all.
And I understand, Chris. And so that's why I want to just move on to the resolution, because we need to go home tonight. We've all been working all day. Kathy, did you get a resolution out to, I think all of the council people have a copy of the resolution. Is that correct? Did you all get a copy of the resolution? So yes, go ahead. Somebody had something to say. Okay, so I want to just look at it. And Attorney Taylor, you're on the call, right?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, very good. So the first paragraph of the resolution is very clear. It's coming from Kathy Larkin, the duly qualified and acting clerk of the town of Southington. Do hereby certify that this resolution was adopted at a special meeting. Let's go right down to the resolution part, that the Town Council of Southington is opposed to the passage of LCO-3471, an act concerning police accountability in the present form. The Town Council of Southington firmly stands by and supports the Southington Police Department and its officers. The council urges the state legislature to postpone the vote on the bill as it currently stands, and request that the legislature seek out more input from the public, municipalities, as well as local police departments prior to voting. Is this acceptable to the town council? Yes, Chris?
Can I just ask one suggestion? So the part where we talk about seek input from the police department, can we add in there just simple language about through the formation of a task force? Because that's mentioned directly in there.
Well, my only concern on that, Chris, is this, because the formation of a task force is not within our jurisdiction. The formation of the task force would be at the legislative area. I wanted to make this kind of broad-based and not have us be fractured off into little things like that. I think if they want to do a task force, or if they want to have a special committee, or if they want to just get public input and police input without creating a committee, that is up to the legislators, I felt. So I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think that really belongs on the legislative floor. My own personal feeling, Chris.
That's fair enough. That was my point in the first place about the whole thing being
right
up to the legislators. So that's fine.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Thank you. I appreciate it. Does anybody else have any problems with this? All right. Yes, Val?
Can I just ask Jeremy maybe just a couple edits?
Certainly.
Okay. So I would say after the concerning police accountability, I would say in its present form and then the Town Council of Southington firmly stands by and supports, maybe say our Southington Police Department. And I don't think you need to have officers, just have Southington Police Department as a whole.
Is everyone okay with those changes? Jeremy, are you all right?
Sure.
Does anybody have a problem with the changes?
Madam Chair, whatever the will of the town council wants me to do, I'm fine with.
Okay, and we have time to do that, right, Jeremy?
It's my understanding that you want to get this out to the legislator prior to tomorrow, so
yes.
I would have to make the changes tonight, send it to Kathy, as long as Kathy's able to sign this, and we can get it to Laura and she could send it out.
Okay, that's good. So let me just look at Where it says, Val, I just want to get your 2 cents in here. Where it says concerning police accountability, there's a comma, and then what did you say?
Concerning, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the spot. Oh, concerning police accountability in its present form.
Okay, in its present form, okay. And then you
the
said,
town-
when it gets to the Southington Police Department and its officers, you feel, does anybody have a problem with taking out "and its officers"? Or do we want to leave it, as is? Anybody have any input?
I think Southington Police Department covers the entire department.
Okay,
Officers.
I think the intention is that we support the police officers. If it says police department, that probably covers it.
Okay, so if we're all in agreement, this is easy. We just cross out, we put the period after department and we take out "and its officers."
Mhm.
Then it reads,
And Madam Chair,
go ahead, Val.
the council urges the state legislature to postpone, I would say, a vote on this legislation, because it just says the vote on bill.
Okay.
So
Jeremy,
maybe
you
the
agree
council
with that?
urges the state legislature to postpone a vote on this legislation as it currently reads.
Okay, so Jeremy, what it would say, everybody, what it would say is the council urges the state legislature to postpone a vote on this legislation and take out, on the bill as it currently stands. Correct, Val?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay, and request that the legislature seek out more input from the public, municipalities, as well as local police departments prior to voting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes,
That
that's-
addresses the concerns, I would say, Madam Chair.
Excuse me?
I would add that addresses the concerns of the many people who are voicing concerns about these things. Just in general, that addresses the concerns. So they're putting a task force together that addresses the concerns, or not a task.
We're not putting in
I know.
we're not putting in the task force.
I understand.
We're
But
leaving it
postpones the vote until more input, and after that addresses the concerns.
Paul, I don't know where you are on this, so you need to read the sentence how you want it to read.
Okay, I had just closed it because I thought we were done, so let me open it up.
So the last sentence reads, the council urges the state legislature to postpone a vote on this legislation as it currently stands and request that the legislature seek out more input from the public, municipalities, as well as local police departments prior to voting.
Good. I like it.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, now we're going to open it up for public communication. I don't know if we have anybody on the line. Paul, do we have anybody on the line?
We do, Madam Chair. Let me just check here because I did put the commenting on hold.
Okay.
Let me open this up there. Okay. Dashboard here seems a little different than it was in the past. So, let's change my view. Okay, it looks like, yep, it looks like there's one call-in user, Madam Chair. I'm going to unmute the call-in user and ask the call-in user, now it's public communications.
Yep.
If either somebody on the computer or the call-in user would like to say anything during public communications, now's the time.
This is Tony Morrison, 49 Botcher Farm Place. I agree with pretty much everything that was said. To most of what was said, put it that way. And I'm pleased to hear it. I'm pleased to hear, obviously, that everybody's in favour of, the resolution. My only point is this. I think it is very much a Southington issue. I mean, yeah, crime is obviously a US issue. Our crime statistics have gone down remarkably in the last 25 years. They've gone down by half, by 50%. I mean, it's astonishing, especially all those who remember what it was like in the 80s and the early 90s. In Connecticut, same thing. It hasn't been as dramatic because it didn't start off as badly as the US average did. And in Southington, it hasn't been. It's even less dramatic because Southington never had a really high crime rate. However, the reason for that massive change in crime is due to a number of factors, but one is the activities of the police departments. And again, as Councillor Dos Santos said, vilifying the police doesn't do you any good. What does do you good is improving the police, continuous improvement. And our department is definitely, I would say, a class above, definitely above the average. And in fact, probably one of the best performing departments in the state. And it's not only the best performing, one of the best performing departments in terms of crime statistics, crime prevention, which again is very, very good here, but also in terms of how people handle themselves, which was also a point that was made. And finally, my point as being on the Board of Finance is in terms of fiscal responsibility too. The Connecticut average per 1,000 people for officers is 2.15. Southington's right now is 1.5. So we, obviously labor is the biggest, cost of any police department. So we run a wonderful crime management force, and we do it cheaper than you would expect. And the thing is, if you pass emotional legislation, which this is, I mean, a bill, which I read the working, copy, no idea what it's going to look like tomorrow, but it's an emotional bill. It takes everything, throws it into a bucket and says, here, pass this, because we want to feel good about ourselves. And feeling good about yourselves is going to trash our police department. So it is very much a Southington issue. And I think it's really important that we say, from a Southington perspective, this is what we think. And I'm glad of the resolution. And, the point that was made that I actually do disagree with, that, the town council here in Southington can't make a point to the legislature because our legislatures have to. I totally disagree with that. I think it's certain real key things, not everything, obviously, but in key things, there was one last year on tolls, this year on the police issue. In key things, I think towns have to make a stand because it will seriously impact them. Okay, so I love the resolution. I like the comments all you guys made, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony, very much for your comments. Are there any other folks, Paul, that wish to speak?
Madam Chair, there's one call-in user. We'll just ask one more time if the call-in user would like an opportunity to speak, or if there's anybody else on the computer who would like to be unmuted and speak. Okay.
It looks like Mike Riccio I think he took himself off of.
Mike, are you all set? Okay. Okay, Madam Chair.
Okay. So we have a resolution in front of us, and the process will be, we will call the roll, and I appreciate everybody's input tonight, and I want to this becomes a living document when we all are speaking about it and changing things and explaining things, and so I'm very happy that the process on this was good. Jeremy, I'm sorry to have to ask you to do that, but we do want to get it up to the legislature tomorrow morning. And so I'm going to ask you if you could just fix it. You have all of the changes, right, Jeremy? Jeremy?
Madam Chair, I think he may be having some technical difficulties. Looks like he logged off and he's probably going to come back in.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. So we will have this typed up, and Kathy, you will sign it and date it for tomorrow or tonight. Tonight probably, because this
It'll be
is
tonight.
Tonight, yeah.
Yep.
And you're going to give it to Lara. She will get it out there. Also, the police chief wanted to see this. He asked if we would send him a copy with the seal on it tomorrow, first thing tomorrow morning. So would you please let Lara know that so she can get a copy to the police chief as well?
Well, I can do that tonight as soon as Jeremy emails me the new wording. I
Okay.
can place it, sign it, and get a copy to the chief, and I will leave it for Lara to contact the others.
Okay, very good. Just as a side note, we all received 2 letters. One was from Jim Ram on behalf of the commissioners, and then Steve Kalkowski wrote a letter on behalf of the SRTC. So those are in your packet. So having discussed this, are there any final thoughts? We're going to call the roll. Kathy, would you call the roll, please?
Del Santo,
Yes.
DiPaolo,
Yes.
Dedzek,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Pulis,
Yes.
Chaplinsky,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes, thank you, all the members of the council. It's nice that we were able to come together and put something together collectively. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair? Madam
Yes.
Chair, before we adjourn, I would just like to wish Councilman Palmieri a happy birthday. I don't know of a better way to celebrate it than for a nice special meeting with the town council.
Happy birthday, Chris.
And with that, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Very good. The birthday guy seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, the public that came in on this also. We are finished for our meeting. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care. Thank you, Chris.